So, today I want to dive into a topic that I think many of us, especially artists, have faced at some point: creative blocks. You know, those moments when you feel like you've hit a wall, you can't carry on. Yeah, I've been there, and it can be pretty frustrating. I wrote a blog post about this called Breaking Through Creative Blocks, Embracing Uncomfortable Comfort, and I think it perfectly sets the stage for our conversation today. So, let's explore how we can break through these creative barriers together. So, I want to share a personal experience with you. I went to Japan this year, 2024. I believe it was February. And what happened was that having toddler and having families in Japan and so forth, we didn't have much time to go back home because he dropped his nap. And so what happened was that I couldn't have my painting time, which is totally fine. I just let it go. At least for a year now, I've been painting every single day by this point. So what happened was that once I got back to Munich, Germany, where we currently live, I couldn't paint. That was it. I tried to paint, but this critic in my head took over me, and I just didn't feel like I was good enough anymore. So what happened was that I thought, okay, this is not good. What can I do? So what I did at that moment was basically go to a palette that I bought secondhand from a man, not knowing that it was gonna come with like his blue pigment and green pigment paints. I'm very particular when it comes to color, so I need to know every single pigment information that's inside, but that's for another story. So what I decided to do was use up those paint that was in the palette so I can put my own paint. So I started just thinking about what I enjoyed doing, like when I started watercolor painting in watercolor medium, and where it took me back to was painting cairns, you know, those stacking stones that you see when you hike up mountains. So I used to hike back in Japan, Hong Kong, and Beijing as well, and I just loved it when you saw those. You know, it was like a guidance, like, oh, I've been here, and you know, people just telling you their own kind of story almost. So I just enjoyed looking at those stones, and I thought, okay, I'll paint those again, because I did create a class way back in Beijing for these stacking stones, like watercolor painting them. So I've decided to do those again because they're second nature to me. Like, it's easy for me to do, and I enjoy them because you can just focus on how the pigments flow into each other, how the colors mingle together. It's just so beautiful. So that's what I did. And I started painting tons of these like crazy, like a mad person. My partner at one time came to me and he was like, you're definitely crazy. So yeah, I created those, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to create another class because I think I'm good enough that I can kind of teach others what I've learned from painting so many of these, you know, stacking stones. And then I felt much better. I felt like I was ready to carry on painting like I did before. So the act of creating those cairns became my way of navigating through my creative block. It's a reminder that just like stacking rocks, we can build our way out of struggles, piece by piece. So this way of going back to what I enjoyed doing when I first started with, in this case, watercolor, was going back to what I loved and just create those, because it was easy enough for me to let go of any critic in my head because I know that I'm good at it. So this helped for me. And I really think that this kind of is different for different people because we all have different personalities. And having that said, if you know the 16 Myers-Briggs personality trait, I'm an ENFP, so I'm all about having fun and the what ifs and so forth. So having fun is very important. So I think this is what worked for me. So I don't know what works for everybody else, but there's a book called Get Unstuck, Creative Block, Discover New Ideas by Danielle Krissa. She's the Jealous curator. And I want to share a few of the quotes from other artists that I really think helped me, and I hope it will help you too. So I'm going to quote some of them. I like my inner critic. He has a time and place. However, just not while I'm in a creative state of mind. By Justin Ritchell. If you're feeling blocked, just create. Inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us just show up and get to work. All the best ideas come out of the process. They come out of the work itself. By Chuck Close. There are rules posted everywhere in life science telling you what you cannot do. Then you have the artist who is trying to eliminate the rules and use this freedom of expression. So when I got to that first design class, I finally found my tribe and my mind opened up. I was like a little fish thrown into a giant sea. By Dolman Gaiman. I think some of the biggest bursts of creativity and artistic growth I've had are usually preceded by a big creative block. By Ashley Goldberg. I especially think that Ashley Goldberg quote at the end really hits me because I do believe that whenever I have a creative block, usually something good is coming after it. So it's almost like this knot in your back that once it releases, it just like releases something really good. And finally, there's a book called The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin, and I really love this book. And there's a chapter that he talks about tuning out. The main message here is about the importance of disconnecting from external influences and noise to tap into one's inner creative voice. So he emphasizes that in order to create authentically and deeply, an artist must tune out the distractions of the outside world, including society expectations, trends, and even the internalized pressures we put on ourselves. I do think his words are golden, and this is something that will help us if we have in mind. If I had to give you 3 key takeaways from this episode, it would be number 1, do something you love. Go back to what was very simple, easy for you to do that you just enjoyed doing. Go back to that. It's a great start. So this goes back to what Rick Rubin said of tuning out. I think by doing something you love, and it's relatively easy, but there's some elements that you do have to work on your skill. I think this will help you to tune out. So yeah, this is a good one to start off with. Number 2, just keep reminding yourself as a motivator that after this creative block, something good is coming. And number 3, don't stop. Be persistent. That's the most important bit. I had a huge gap of not really coming back to painting from when I was like 19 until 20, I think it was even 30. So there was a huge gap. And although I do regret that long years of not being painting and not, being a good painter still, I do think that I came back, and that's the most important.